everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Samantha Anderson. I am a freelance artist and teacher hoping to inspire creativity. If you would like more videos like these, please take a second to like and subscribe down below. It really helps in the algorithm of YouTube to help get my videos seen to more people. If you want to receive notifications of when I go live, please make sure to hit the bell and choose all notifications. If you have any questions during or after the class, make sure to pop a comment down below and I will answer it as soon as I can. If interested in learning more about my classes, please follow me on Facebook and Instagram. And feel free to check me out on Patreon, where I teach exclusive classes to those who support me. In Patreon, I also give traceables for all of my live classes, including this one. Lastly, if you would like to share your work after class with me and others who painted along with us, please head over to Facebook, as I have an artist community where you can share your finished painting with us. I'll leave links for all of that in the description box below. Thanks for joining me, and let's get started. Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel and another class. I am excited that you're here. And yeah, let's go ahead and just jump right in. Please make sure to comment down below if you're here painting with someone, if this is your new if this is your first time, if you're new to painting, all that jazz. Feel free to comment and make conversation down below. I'll be in the comments chatting away with you guys. So yeah, just let me know if you have any questions during the class. But yeah, go ahead and say hi. Let's go ahead and go over a couple of supplies for this class, and then we'll jump right into painting after we go over a few of the other classes that are going on at this time. Okay, so the first thing I want to go over is the canvas. This is an 11 by 14 stretched canvas. So I will be wrapping the canvas, which is just another way to say I'll be painting the sides, tops, and bottoms. If you're a part of my Patreon, or if you would like to support the channel and become a patron, you will have access to the traceable. I will not be using a traceable today, so if you want to just paint along with me, that is totally fine. If you are someone who needs a little bit extra guidance, maybe you're not as good as kind of free flowing it and you need that extra guidance, that is what this traceable is there for. It is available to all patrons within the tiers of my Patreon, and that's linked below. I'll post that in the chat. And yeah, so just if you would like that, please go over to Patreon. And what's cool about the Patreon is that if you become a member for the $5, you'll literally have access to every single traceable I've ever posted in that tier, including the class that we painted earlier this month, as well as every other class that I've painted ever for my live classes and for my other classes on YouTube. So feel free to go check it out. Go see over there. It's just $5. You'll get access to everything, and it's a lot of fun. And obviously you don't need to have it for this class, but again, if you're someone who wants that little extra guidance, it's there for you. So no excuses, paint today, okay? All right, so there's that. I'm gonna go over a couple of the brushes. Now these are the brushes I usually have for all of my classes. We may not use all of these today. This is a class that I haven't done specifically before. I've done water and things like that before, but not this like close up. So I have a feeling we'll mostly be using our big brushes today, our big brush. So I have a large filbert, a medium-sized filbert, and then I have two round brushes. One's pointed, one's a little bit more blunt, like round. I have a dry brush, or like a cloud brush. We'll be using that for a little bit of the top there. It's really good for dry brushing. It's essentially just a round brush. For those of you wondering, it's just a round brush that I call my dry brushing brush, specifically because that's the technique I usually use with it. And I typically will use the same one every time because that technique does kind of ruin the brush in it, quote unquote, it ruins the brush because the bristles get all like kind of messed up. But I only use this brush for that technique, and I actually want it to do that. So for me, it's not ruined. It's just that's what I use it for. But yeah, so if you want to use that technique, try to get a brush that's either already kind of old and it isn't holding its shape anymore, or a brush that you can specifically use for that, and then yeah, just go from there. Okay. Okay, I will. There's one. I'll go over one more brush, and I just don't know if we're going to be using it this time. But I have my liner brush. I have it on hand just in case. But I don't know if we'll be using it today. But like I said, have it on hand, or any other brush that you think you might use, and then we'll just go from there. Okay. Other supplies that I have a paper towel, a palette, 2 things of water just in case I need some clean water. And then as well as a knife to help kind of clean off my palette knife, or my palette. And then I do have a palette knife for mixing my colors. Now this is really important for me, especially for beginners too, to pre-mix your colors. And that's especially important in this one because a lot of this we're going to do wet on wet. And without pre-mixing your colors, you can't really do that because by the time, like let's say if we only did the orange, you put the orange on and then we're like, oh, I need the blue. So then you go mix the blue. By the time you get that blue on the canvas, your orange is already going to be dried. So we're going to make pretty much all of our colors first in this one, and then we're going to just have fun and paint, okay? So I will be using a palette knife for all of the mixing in this class, okay? That is pretty much it for all of these supplies with the exception of the paint. And the paint colors are pretty much just your oranges, browns, and blues. So I have some orange and yellow, okay? Those are my orange and yellow. And don't be confused by the bottles. These are full body acrylics from Happy Crafter. They are not the craft acrylics that you would get normally in the super cheap section of your Hobby Lobby or wherever you buy stuff. They are in bottles, but they are not soft body acrylics. They are full body acrylics. All right, so I have my yellow and orange, and then I also have my white, brown, and black, and then I'm going to be using my Phthalo Blue today. Okay, so those are the 6 colors we'll need for this class. Again, that's your yellow, orange, blue, and then your black, brown, and white, and that's pretty much it. Simple colors today, but really pretty, honestly. I think probably it's pretty to me because of the contrast of the darks and the lights, as well as the blues. Even though it's dark blue, the blues and the orange are complementary colors. So I love all the coloring and the lighting of this painting. And obviously I'm from San Diego, so I kind of miss the ocean. So this may or may not be a I miss the ocean painting, but it'll be fun. I'm really excited for it. Okay, let's go ahead and figure out where everything is. So if you have put the traceable on, that is great. You can kind of, if you're watching this at a later time, you can just kind of skip over this section. But if you have not used the traceable and you want to kind of figure out where everything is, that's what we're going to be doing right now. And then as you guys are figuring all of that out, I'm going to go over a couple of the other classes. So let's go ahead and figure out where some stuff is. I'm going to go ahead and do this in yellow. So I'm going to grab a little bit of yellow and a little bit of white. I'll grab a small brush. And the reason I do it in a yellow this time around is because yellow and white, they tend to be really easy to cover up. And since these are such dark colors, it'll be easily covered up. So first I'm going to figure out where my horizon is. Now it's kind of coming at a little bit of an angle, so this section is a little bit taller than the section over here, which is about in the middle of the canvas. So this is about 2/3 of the canvas, and this is about half. So this kind of comes down about like this. And it only needs to be as dark as you can see it. So you might not be able to see my line very well, and that's okay. Just know that it's there and you can see yours. And then this line kind of comes up like for a little bit of a wave, and then comes down because it's a little bit closer together, so you can see the waves a little bit more. And then it kind of comes up a little bit. It's a little bit more wavy. Get it? Wavy. And then there's a little bit one that's a little bit closer that kind of comes in here. All right, so that is pretty much it. And then I'm gonna figure out later where I want my sun, because that we'll be able to put in kind of just anywhere. If you want to put like a little dot of like the approximate of where you want it, you can do that, but you don't need to. All right, let's go ahead and create all of our colors, okay? I'm going to get out, oh, actually, let me stop real quick. I'm gonna give you a couple minutes to do that because I know I might have been faster than you. So while you guys all do that, I'm gonna go over a couple other classes that are either just released this month or that we did last month. So this is what we did 2 weeks ago in our last live class. So if you like flowers, it's kind of impressionistic a little bit. If you would like to learn this is a free class on my YouTube channel. Just go, it should be the last one that we painted just 2 weeks ago on Valentine's Day actually. Seemed fitting to have a pretty bouquet on that day. So yeah, feel free to go paint that one. It was a lot of fun, and it's a free class, so what have you got to lose? And then next, in my Patreon, earlier this month, we painted this guy. How cute is he? This is, I think it's the second parrot that we did, but we had a lot of fun with this one. And yeah, so this is in my Patreon. I do an exclusive Patreon tutorial for all of my magenta tier. It's a $10 tier. So in that $10 tier, you also get access to all previous tutorials in that tier, as well as the live class traceables. So you'll get access to both of those tiers in the tutorial tier. So that's kind of a fun perk. But yeah, this is what we painted this month, and it was a lot of fun. And then lastly, I know last class I showed you kind of a work in progress of our cobalt tier class, but this is the finished painting from our cobalt class. We finished it yesterday. And look at how good it came out. I love the water. It looks so real to me. Like when I haven't seen it in a while, I'll like look at it across the room and I'm like, whoa, that looks so cool. So yeah, if you want to learn this and you want to learn how to do the water like this, or how to, you know, maybe create a picture from your own painting or from your own picture. This was actually a picture from one of my cobalts. They were like, hey, can you help me with this? I'm like, actually, this is a really cool picture. Let me edit it a little bit, and then we ended up painting it for our cobalt class. So that's kind of a perk of being in that tier, is being able to not only ask for help, but also be able to get your picture painted if I feel like it would help other people too. But yeah, this is what we ended up painting. I really love how it came out. It reminds me of when my mom had a kayak, and it reminds me of kayaking with my mom. So that's kind of a fun thing. But yeah, that's what we did in Patreon. There's a lot of other things happening in Patreon, and with any of the tiers, you'll get access to everything I've ever posted in that tier, as well as every tier below it. So if you sign up for the cobalt tier, you'll get access to all those videos, all of the monthly tutorials, Friday tutorials, as well as all of the traceables. So you get access to literally like everything. And that one's $20, but we work weekly on that. So we work every week for about an hour, and we slowly work through a painting. So that was a lot of fun. Next month, I'm not going to give any sneak peeks this time, but I'm really excited for what we're painting next month. But yeah, okay. Hopefully all of you are at a stopping point, or at a place that we can move on. You have your kind of setup and where everything is. If you've used the traceable, you'll notice the dark places. If you want to put those in, you can. That will actually help a little bit later when you're trying to figure out where all those like darks and light spots are. You can actually go over that with a with black or a dark color. And that will just help you when we do our wash of color to kind of figure out where everything is. But if you have not done that and you're at this place, then you can just follow along, and you don't need to do that. We'll kind of be doing it a little bit differently. But if you want to use the traceable and you want to put in those dark spots, it will be helpful for you later on. Okay, let's go ahead and create all of our colors. So I have some yellow and white already out here. I'm going to grab a little bit more yellow, and I'm going to grab my orange. A little bit of orange, and then I'm also going to grab a tiny bit of brown and black. We're going to work on the sky colors first, because that's what we're going to be painting first, so that's just where my brain goes. We're going to work on the sky colors first, and then we'll get out our blue and figure out where what our blue colors are going to be. Okay, I have my palette knife, my handy dandy palette knife. We're going to work on this color. Now this orange is not like a typical color. It's got very pretty, in my opinion, very pretty, like a dusty look almost. So I'm going to grab this white, and we're going to need quite a bit of this white, because you might not think that the sky has a ton of white in it, but it really does. So we have a lot of white. I'm going to put just a little bit of this orange in here, a little bit of this yellow, and we're going to mix this all together. And it actually has a lot more yellow in it than I imagined. So sometimes it's helpful to put up the color that you made, like up here. So you can see it like next to the canvas. Okay, I'll probably go even lighter in around where the sun is, but so I have like a yellowish color, and I have a little bit more of an orangey color. I'm gonna take some of this orange, and there's quite a bit of color that has like a brownish black in it. So I'm gonna take this brown and I'm going to mix it with this orange. So I just took some of that orange and I'm mixing some brown in it. And I'm actually going to get some blue out now. I'm going to see what blue does to it. If it turns it like purpley, or if it turns it... because I almost want like a purpley color. I'm going to do a tiny bit of blue and a little bit of black. So you're just going for a little bit of a, I wouldn't say muddy because that doesn't sound pretty, but in the context of it all, it kind of is. And yeah, that's pretty good. I almost want to add a tiny bit of purple. I know that might sound weird, but I think I might get some purple out. This is the stage where we are playing with our colors to see what it needs. This is why it's really cool to paint ahead of time so that you can see all your colors together with each other and see what the different colors need, instead of like just kind of plopping it on there and then trying to like paint as you go, and sometimes it's not, then it doesn't come out the way you want it and the colors don't really mix well. Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit more purple to this. I'm actually really liking this purple. All right, I'm gonna take a little bit more of this orange, the lighter orange that we created, and I'm going to mix the brown that I had on my, I'm just kind of making a couple different oranges. Couple different colors. I'm playing with the colors. I'm seeing what I like. I'm like, this orange is a little bit brighter, so maybe I would use that a little bit closer to like the water. This one's more brown, so I'm going to use this over here or up above. I actually want to take some of this, maybe add some white to it. If you are new, this is a really great process, so don't skip this process. And they don't have to be the exact colors that I'm using. Play with the colors. If you're new to painting and you're like, I don't even know where to start, start with itty bitty little amounts and start slowly adding different colors to it and see what happens. Part of this process is just discovering which colors make the paint do what it's gonna do. So for instance, like me looking at this color and like, you know what? I think I want to add some purple. Do it. No one's there saying that you can't add purple to a like orangey brown color. For me, that's like what I see. I see a little bit of purple in there, so I'm going to add it. If you want to add something else, add it. Like, this is the time that you get to explore and have fun with your colors and figure out like which colors make your colors do something, you know, like, and all these colors, honestly, all these colors are going to look totally good together. So I'm not really worried about like, oh, or maybe I'm not going to use that color, right? Maybe I want to add a little bit more. Maybe I don't want to use this color, so I'm going to play with the color a little bit more. I'm like, I'm going to add more purple. Why not? I'm going to add more purple and see if it gets to a color that I do want to use. Maybe I'll add a little bit more black. Make it a darker purpley color. I'm like, okay, you know what? I like that color. I'm going to add a tiny bit of white to it because I think it's getting a little bit too dark with that purple and black being added. So I'm going to add a little bit of white to it. You know what? Now it's a color I want to use. Now it's a color that I want to use with it. And since that color is darker, I want to make a color that goes up here that's a little bit lighter. I'm going to add a little bit of white to this one. So now I'm going to mix that color together a little bit. Like, you can play with your colors. Don't feel like once you make a color that it has to stay that color. You can mix and mix until you get all the colors the way you want them. Or you can mix colors and then not even use that color. I mean, you're like, you know what? I don't really want to use that one. That's okay too. All right, I have all these colors. I'm good with my coloring. If you need to pause the video or wait and kind of see what I do, so then you'll know how to do your painting, you can do that too. If you want to just paint as you go and kind of figure it out, we can do that too. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of just fall along this line as we paint. But before we do that, I just remembered we are going to figure out our dark blue colors first. And it doesn't have to be a perfect color. We're just going to get that kind of, we're going to do two colors. We're going to do like a grayish blue and then a darker, not quite black, but darker blue. So we're going to do that before we move on because we want to have those colors available so that we can kind of get this back end color mixed. So I'm going to do white, black, blue, maybe a little bit more black. Start there. You do a little bit more black, a little bit darker maybe. So I just keep adding my black and my blue so I can kind of change the hue or the shade of it. Okay, that's pretty good. It's like a darkish blue gray. And now I'm going to do the same thing except with mostly black. Black, blue, and a tiny bit of white. So it looks like black, but it's like a really dark gray blue. Now that you have both of those colors, let's go ahead and paint. I'm going to grab my biggest brush, get it a little bit wet, and then I'm going to dry it off so it's not dripping wet. And I'm going to go in with my yellow first. And put it in the area that I want my sun in. And then I'm going to go in with some white and I'm going to mix that in. And then I'm going to start going into that lighter orange, the lightest orange that I have. And then I'm just going to go into the colors that are directly next to it and start blending in those different colors. I'm going to grab some white, and with the orange that's already on my brush, I'm just going to paint on top. So it's kind of lighter. And I'm just going to continue those colors, just blending. If you need to take a little bit more white in the center here, blend it into the middle and then slowly blend it out. And I'm just going back and forth. Barely touching the canvas, and it just adds a little bit of that light touch to it. And we'll put in our sun later. I'm gonna keep moving over into the darker colors. And it's important that you do this while it's all wet, because as soon as it starts drying, it becomes a lot harder to blend. So I have my dark orange over here. I'm gonna go a little bit on the brownish tan side up here. Blend that over. And I'm gonna go into that kind of dark purpley color right here. And I'm going to mix it in with the orange. So just do the best you can, and if you need to let it dry, if you don't like it and you need to let it dry and do a second coat, do it. Don't force one coat. Sometimes I'm able to do it in one coat like this. Other times I'm like, you know what? This is not working out. These are not the colors that I thought they were, or maybe I didn't get the blend correctly. Like sometimes even a teacher, I have to redo stuff, and that is okay. Don't be so focused on being like, well, the teacher did it in one coat, I have to do it in one coat. Because you know what? Sometimes I have a feeling there are some paintings out there where I'll be painting and I'll be like, you know what? I need to do this. I need to do another coat of this. And you're like, well, I don't need to do another coat. I like the first coat that I did. And that's okay. There are just some times that things work out good, and other times that they're like, meh, you know what? I need another coat. I need a redo. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with having to do another coat if you need it. So now is the time to kind of assess whether or not you do need that second coat. If you like it, if you like how it came out, great. If not, let it dry. Go get your blow dryer, let it dry fully, and do another coat. That's the point where you can kind of change your colors. If I were to do this again, I might add a little bit more like reddish pinks to the background. I think I underestimated how like orangey pink the sky is, so maybe I would change that. That's the only thing. That's not enough for me to change, like do a whole another second coat, because I do like how everything came out. We are still going to add a little bit of cloud at the top, but that's not really like, that's not enough for me to do a second coat, or to decide to do a second coat. So right now I'm just kind of coming on the sides and finishing, trying to match the sides as well as I can. So that I can come by and Alright. The only exception is, and I'm not really liking this right here. Alright. And what's nice about this type of painting is that you can always bring in some clouds. Like let's say you did this and you're like, I don't really like it. You know, you can put in some clouds in any spot that you're like meh about. So let's say like I like it now, but let's say like I didn't like this section. I'll just kind of put some clouds in as I'm putting in all the rest of the clouds, and it would be fine. But yeah, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to take some of this blue and I'm going to put in a layer of this blue. And this is the lighter blue. And I can already tell it's a little bit too dark. So I'm just going to take, whoa, I just flung paint on my computer. I'm going to take a little bit of white and just mix it in over here. So right now I'm just kind of figuring out where this is. This is going to be a many coat process. So just take this blue and kind of just put it over practically everything. And this is where the having that black ahead of time, if you did have the black ahead of time, that's where that would come in handy, because we're going to be going over all this and you would be able to still see those black marks through this all and still be able to tell where all your markings are. So I'm just going to put this blue over the whole thing. And anywhere where you feel like you want to put in some dark, you can do that. If you already have the dark on there, then just kind of mimic that same colors. The main point to this coat is to get rid of all of that white. So even if it's a little bit see-through, like it's kind of see-through up here a little bit, even if it's a little bit see-through, maybe it's a little bit waterier than you would like it to be, this first coat is really just trying to get all that white of the canvas out of there. So we don't need any of that. And then don't forget to paint all your sides, especially the sides that you might forget about. Alright. And there you go. And that's a good first coat. If this is still wet, then you can add some dark in there if you want, but at this stage it's not totally necessary. I'm just going to put a little bit. While it's still just a little bit wet. Alright, so I'm going to let that dry. Take note that there is a lighter highlight that we're going to be putting on top that's kind of this orangey tint. So keep that in mind when we're doing this. So like the main color we're looking at is going to be this like kind of medium blue. The next time I make it, I think I'm going to make it a little bit lighter, more like this color. And that will help kind of brighten up it just a little bit. And just so you know, my painting is a little bit more pink than it is closer to the actual picture than it is what you're seeing. You're seeing a little bit, it's a little bit more yellow in the camera for some reason. So I'm not sure why, but just so you guys know. Okay, do that. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my small filbert, and I'm going to grab some white, and you're gonna figure out where you want your sun. And what you're gonna do is you're going to place it there and then just turn your brush around one of the sides. So essentially you're putting it down and then you're kind of going in a circle as you turn it, but you're keeping one side in one spot. So eventually, once you do that all the way around, it'll make a circle. So I'm gonna put mine, the the lightest spot is right there. I'm gonna put it right there. So got my spot. And I made mine a little bit small just so I can look at it and make sure that that's where I want it. Grab a little bit more white. And once you get the circle in there, then you can kind of make it bigger and more white. Alright, I'm going to take a little bit of this yellow and put it right under here with some white. Put that in. I think there was some blue on my white, so it ended up just kind of blending into the color around it. But that's fine. I'll come back with some other color when that's dry. Okay, so that is pretty much that. I'm gonna go ahead and clear off some space. And I'm going to redo this blue color a tad bit lighter. So I'm gonna do my white, a little bit of blue, and a little bit of black. And when we do this section, we're going to put in our dark immediately so that it can all blend in. So let me show you. We're gonna do our light color and I'm just focusing on this from left to right, the back side of this all. And as I work, I'm going to grab this dark color and I'm going to put it in wherever I feel like it needs to be. And then I'm going to use that and I'm going to blend it in. And I think I might even use this tan color for the lightest part and blend that in as well. I've put all that light color and I'm gonna come behind, put in the dark. Remember, this is kind of in the background and it's all blended in. I'm going to take with a smaller brush this tan. And kind of blend in a little bit of this tan. This is the tan that I used up here. Just going to blend it in a little bit so it's not as bright. I'm just going to go back and forth and keep adding this tan in this place because I feel like this would be this place would have a little bit more tan as it's the reflection of the sky or whatever, so it would be a little bit more light. At this point, I'm going back and forth between my my light and my dark brush. I'm using two different brushes right now. Remember that water is not super smooth. Like this is choppy water, so there can be lines and uneven marks. As long as it kind of makes sense in the environment of the, like the direction of the waves, as long as it kind of makes sense, there's really not really a wrong way to do it. Alright, so the front part of this is essentially the same, except your lines are more defined. So it's literally the same process, just your lines are more defined. So as we move on, I have to make more of my light color, because I have to, make more of my light color. I want the same color, so I'm just going to put it right over that color, and it's not dried out yet, so it should be fine. Got a little bit of blue and a little bit of black. I'm going to remake this color as best as we can. Need a little bit more. That is pretty close to the color we just created, and I created more of it because we're doing a larger section. Alright, so again, this is the same process with the exception that your lines are going to be a little bit more defined, because this was kind of in the background as a little bit more blurry, right? Now I'm going to kind of figure out where these lines are right here. I'm going to do big, long strokes. Kind of start the process of like where these lines are, where the flow of the water is. It kind of comes down here, down this way and back up. Okay, I'm gonna go in with my dark, because once you start putting in the dark, it starts looking a little bit more real. I always like to say you can't have the light without the dark, and you can't have the dark without the light. So it's really helpful to start putting in your darks and lights fairly early on so that you can figure out where everything is. I'm going to put some dark over here in the corner. Once you get the flow of like where your lines are, it'll be a lot easier to put in your darks and your lights. And you'll have little little triangles is what I like to call them. I'm gonna go ahead and switch to a large round brush. I think that'll be easier for this process. So large round brush like this, okay? I'm going to do the same thing. And I'm going to just put in a bunch of thick, thin lines. Again, once you kind of figure out where everything is, it becomes a lot easier to put in your lines. And what I mean by triangles is like, let's say here, you're gonna go thin, push it down, thick, thin. And that puts in a little triangle. Once you have the main dark and light colors in there, it'll be time to put in the highlights. So then you can take the same brush with your tans the first thing I'm going to do is kind of put an outline of where the one in the back are. Because I think the back one needs to be a little bit lighter. And you can blend it out with just with some water, almost like a wash. Now I'm gonna come in with a little bit more detail. And you can do this with a little bit of water so that it blends a little bit easier. Just grab a little bit of water and mix it in with your paint. I'm just going to add it to all the places that have that orange highlight color. Essentially, it's anything that's like on the right side of it. And go ahead and put in a little bit more brighter spots. And do that over here too. I'm going to put this white spot right here. Okay, don't forget to match the bottom and the sides with what you've done. You don't wanna leave it out. Alright, just so we can kind of tell the difference between the back and the front, I'm going to be a little bit more bold with my tannish orange color right here. As well as right here. And then I'm going to get some of this black blue color. And then just darken up any of the areas that I feel like got too covered up. That's good though. I think for the most part, everything is how I want it. But yeah, that is pretty much it. You can add as much detail and coloring as you want. I think I'm going to do one other thing just so that this background, this kind of sticks out a little bit more. I'm going to color that section. Okay, that looks better. That looks better. All right. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me. That's pretty much the end of our class. You can add as much detail as you would like in this painting. I feel like there is a certain point that you kind of just got to be like, I'm done with it. But overall, I really like it. It definitely reminds me of the ocean and just like the pretty sunsets that we would have in San Diego. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me. I would love to see your painting. So if you did paint this with me, just like you would at any other in-person paint night, you all take a picture at the end of the painting class. That's kind of what this is. So I'm going to take a picture of mine and post it in my Facebook community. It's a free community group for all of my painting classes that you get to kind of just join in the fun with. So if you are interested in doing that with me, please go over and join that group. I'm going to be posting this right after class. You can go into that album and then add yours to that class album. And that's actually also a great spot to look at all of the classes that are available online, whether on YouTube or in my Patreon. It is all there. So feel free to go over there and check out all the classes that I have. Not all of my classes are on YouTube because not all of them are free. So if you want to look at all the classes that are available, like maybe you haven't been following me for very long and you want to see all those classes, go into my Facebook community. I'll post a link down below and it will be tagged up above after the class. And you can go into that album section and you can see all of the classes for the last like 2, 3, 4 years. I've been doing this 4 years. Wow, 4 years already. That's crazy. Well, I think it's 3.5 years. But yeah, you can go in there and see all of my classes. I would love it if you post yours because it's always fun to get to see other people's rendition of the classes. And then you'll also get to see that too. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me. We will see you in a couple weeks for our next class. Have a great rest of your night. And we'll see you then. Bye guys.